There we go. Is that right?
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. So if there's been a few more people join since I've introduced Dr. Victoria, who's in the other screen. So thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Victoria.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have you here, and you're the expert in GLP prescribing and medication and lots of side effects and things that people will see. So it's great to have you here so that we can answer any questions that anyone has. So welcome along, everyone, and we'll start this webinar series now. I'm Kendra, the dietitian, and you're here for webinar 8, Beyond the Scales, Reaching Your Goal Weight and Maintaining Success is the topic for tonight. So what I'll do, oops, there we go. Okay, so I will, I'll just go through, you're on the medical weight loss program, and Apex Health are fully providing some subsidised GLP medications for people to lose weight with a BMI of over 27. And to ensure positive outcomes, it's mandatory to engage within a lifestyle program. So you can either do this in a couple of ways, and that's one-on-one with the dietitian, because the DVA does provide those 12 allied health sessions per year over the 12-month period. Or this webinar series is an opportunity for you to engage in lifestyle program that supports you and gives food advice and answers any of those questions, and still enable you to be on the subsidised program. So for any other assistance that is not provided within this webinar, you are able to reach us for any assistance on contact@apex.au, and we can definitely connect you with anyone that you need, such as physios, exercise physiologists, psychologists, and all the allied health people that if you need any assistance. So the presentation overview for today is the refresh on GLP-1 medications, which I'm going to hand over to Dr. Victoria. She's going to take you through those couple of slides at the beginning, because she'll have lots more insight and knowledge to add to that than I will. Then we'll move on to the topic, which is long-term weight maintenance, the withdrawal and maintenance doses of your GLP-1 medications, and then what success ongoing will look like for you. And there'll definitely be an opportunity for anyone to ask some questions at the end if you have any that are left over and not covered in the presentation. So I'll hand over to Dr. Victoria for the medication refresh.
Perfect. Thank you, Kendra. So I'll just give a brief intro on myself in case most of you guys haven't spoken to me when we do our consults. So I'm one of the doctors at Apex, and I actually have a background in emergency medicine, and I'm currently in transition between emergency medicine and GP, but I have a special interest in anything telehealth, but mostly weight management. I love talking to people about weight management, and yeah, I think that's how I found Apex and completely fell in love with what I'm doing now. So yeah, that's just a brief snippets on who I am and what I'm doing. So GLP-1 medications, so the term GLP-1 basically means, it's an acronym for glucagon-like peptide. So this is essentially a medication that mimics one of naturally occurring gut hormones that we naturally produce. And we produce this hormone, which tells the brain that we've eaten enough after we've eaten something. But what we're doing now is adding more of this hormone-like substance to our body, just to give more of that feedback to the brain that we don't need to eat this much. And if you've eaten something, you don't need to eat anymore. And it also just helps to slow down the emptying of your gut. So it's something that we naturally produce, but not enough quantities of it. So this medication actually is similar to that hormone, and it's just doing that same job, but more exponentially. So this is a weekly injection that provides the right conditions for behavior changes that result in weight reduction. And it works on the pancreas, liver, stomach, and the brain. So, like I said, it mimics a hormone that helps these organs to realize that either you've had enough food or you don't need to eat that much. And the common side effects are actually coming because of how this medication works. So because it slows down the your gut, so it slows down the movement of your gut, people tend to feel a bit nauseated, bloated, feel a bit sluggish. They get reflux, mainly because food is moving slower through their gut. Constipation, obviously, because food is moving slower through your gut. Um, Fatigue is one of them. And I tend to link fatigue to you've started taking this medication, you don't feel hungry at all. People tend to um, rapidly decrease how much they're eating. So you're not eating enough to nourish your body, hence the fatigue. You can also get headaches as well because you're not eating enough to nourish your body. Diarrhea as well is one of the side effects. So constipation, diarrhea, the complete opposites, but most of the time you get that constipation, but some people do get a bit of diarrhea. These side effects normally in the first few weeks of starting the injections, because your body still hasn't gotten used to getting that much of that hormone-like substance. But you tend to find most people get the side effects either on the day of their injection or the next day. Over the course of the injection week, the symptoms tend to fade, and some people don't get any side effects at all. So it's pretty remarkable how the medication works, that it's quite individualized, that some people do get side effects and can get them pretty bad, which is unfortunate, and some don't get them at all. So it just works in different ways in different people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So management strategies that I normally advise people over the phone, um, especially if you're having lots of reflux or you're having vomiting, you're feeling bloated, having smaller meals more regularly tends to help manage that. It makes sense. Just imagine you've had a big meal and normally it takes half an hour for you to empty that through your stomach into your gut, but now it's taking 3 hours, 4 hours. You would definitely feel nauseated, feel a bit queasy, feel sluggish. So to mitigate that, having smaller meals, and you could have smaller meals more frequently. But because you're on this medication, you're not feeling like eating that much. So you'd have smaller meals at your allocated times. Um, Drinking plenty of fluid. People tend to drink less as well when they start taking the GLP-1s, and we try to encourage them, make sure you're drinking adequate fluid, because together with not feeling hungry, you're not feeling as thirsty as well. But drinking plenty of fluid will help manage the constipation, help manage the fatigue, help manage the reflux, the headaches. Um, a wide range of plant-based foods in your diet. This one's really important because you're getting most of your fiber from that as well. So your vegetables and fruits will definitely help increasing your fiber intake. Limiting the intake of high-fat foods. This tends to happen. I'm not sure how the medication works in this way, but a lot of people do give me feedback that since they've started the medication, they have deep fat fried food and they feel unwell after it. And that in itself has helped reduce how much deep fat fried food that they have, takeaway food. So once you've started the medication, sometimes you do notice certain foods that make you feel um, more unwell. And one of those that I've noticed is the high fat content foods. Eating slowly and paying attention to your hunger signals. This tends to help as well, especially if you're getting lots of reflux. So with someone who's not taking a GLP-1, if you eat really quickly, you get bloated, you get reflux. So this is even worse if you're taking a GLP-1 because of that slowing down of your gut. So definitely taking your time with your meal, making sure you're drinking plenty of fluid helps to mitigate that. And normally when we're onboarding someone for before starting the GLP-1s, we go through the side effects that are rare but really concerning. So the severe vomiting, severe stomach pain, and it's normally pain at the right upper part of your abdomen, which is where your gallbladder is, where your pancreas is. That's when we'll be worrying about signs and symptoms of pancreatitis or gallstones. Severe diarrhea, because you'll be losing a lot of electrolytes, losing a lot of fluids. And if you notice any non-painful lumps in the throat, accompanied by husky voice, this is where your thyroid gland might be getting involved. So definitely, if you notice any of those symptoms, which are the severe ones, but the more rare ones, we always advise stop taking the medication, seek medical attention. And 20% of people taking GLP-1 medication become malnourished within a year of taking them. And this is more common with people who are getting the medication black market, or they are getting it, but not really getting that follow-up that they need, which is where Apex is really good at following up. We've got our lovely dietitians who are always there to help, because some people, it's really remarkable that when you start the GLP-1, you are not hungry and all the cravings go away. So it can come as a shock to some people. And if you're not prepared, you will totally go a day without eating or eating very little, which tends to happen to most people. But because you still need to nourish your body, you have to have the information on, now that I'm not hungry, now that my hunger cues are gone, what am I going to eat to still nourish myself? What am I going to drink to still nourish myself? How much of it do I need for my body type, my height, my weight to still function and yet still be losing weight? So that's where we get the help and the information from our dietetics team, and from the doctors as well. So starting a GLP-1 without having follow-up or that support definitely can lead to things like malnutrition, because you're not hungry at all and you have no idea what to do in terms of still managing to nourish yourself.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. That was really, really helpful and lots of information. So thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So we will move on now to the beyond the scales and reaching goal weight and maintaining success. The topic for tonight, and then we will have Dr. Victoria here for us while we're going through the dosage and maintenance information about the medicine, and also at the end. So amazing. There we go. All right, looking at long-term maintenance. So when starting your GLP-1 journey, the mindset is a long mindset. It's not really a quick fix. There's no magic bullet or anything like that. It is still you that's losing the weight, and it's still in a healthy way. This medication is there alongside you to provide the right conditions. So it ideally took a long time to get to a goal weight. So the weight reduced in small manageable amounts. Usually a sustainable amount of weight loss would be about 1 kilo a week. Smaller is good too, but generally trending downwards. You can have plateaus, as in weight loss management strategies and programs, but the weight loss, generally trends downwards. So with the GLP-1 medication, you've been successful, and think about it for a moment. You prepared the meals, you planned the nutritious foods, you planned and engaged in the physical activity to get to the point where you are. You managed good sleep, and you managed your stress levels, and you engaged in healthy habits and changed your life and changed your weight. So maintenance is that point where you're reaching a goal. You've gotten to where you want to be. So I'd love this part is just celebrating where you get to. When you reach that BMI that you're after and that goal weight, celebrate what has changed. Look back to where you started and where you are now. And of course, your weight has changed, but your mental capacity is likely increased, and the ability to tackle your tasks and, get on with your daily living. It's easier to get your house cleaned and get out of bed in the morning. You've likely eased up some joints and increased mobility, taking the weight off those joints. The exercise capacity has increased. So potentially just getting up the stairs is a little bit easier up that hill. You don't notice that huffy puffy as much. You've got this zest for life. So all of these things are really something to celebrate. And look at how you can actually reward yourself for your job well done. So maybe it's just stopping and having a look and buying an outfit, or maybe a shirt that you really love to celebrate. Or if you had the funds, maybe a wardrobe, maybe your size has changed. Going on a trip, or even a weekend away if you can, or treating yourself to something that's really nice and indulgent just for you, to celebrate. Taking a family portrait is a really fun thing, and framing it on the wall, just getting everyone there. Or cut and style your hair, something to celebrate how far you've come along your journey. So before thinking about maintenance, remember, you can have a healthy person or an unhealthy person in a small body, and the same is true for larger persons' bodies. So the difference might not even be visible to the eye, but it's beneath the skin, and it's all come about because of the habits that you've done alongside your GLP-1 medication. So the same is true for wherever you are in the journey. Take a deeper look on the conditions that you're providing to your body to give it the good health outcomes. So the main thing about maintenance, I would say, is just not to rush into it. You've been on the journey for a long time. Before discussing the steps you need to do to take the turn and go on to maintenance, let's look back at what got you here, the habits that you changed to get to your goal weight. So firstly, just straight back to what does weight loss look like? So if we take it in, this is a good diagram just to show that weight gain occurs when you've got a imbalance in energy in versus energy out. So we take in a little bit more than what we need, but the body does not let it go. It stores it for later. So we never let it go. We just store it, and it gets a little bit, we add extra for later. So to lose weight, what the GLP-1 medication does, and what you have been doing, is taking a little less energy in, and your energy output is a bit higher. So that's that way. And so your body has been taking the stores of fat that it's been sitting there, and you have lost weight. So now the maintenance part is the sweet spot, and where you want to be for most of the life. It is where the energy in equals the energy out. So you want that maintenance happening. What's coming in is going out. There's no storage and increase in size, or you no longer need to get to a point where you're taking in less energy than what the body actually needs. So maintenance, that is where you're going to turn and pivot into. How do you get to goal weight? It's the creation of those healthy habits. Like I said before, weight is a mysterious thing. We don't have control over it. We don't say, I'm going to lose weight and it happen in 1 kilo or 2 kilo lots. We have no control over where or how it happens, but we do control the health behaviors. So focusing on the healthy behaviors that led to your weight loss, it's increasing all the variety of the whole foods you can see on the screen from the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating, the fruits, vegetables, grains, cereals, proteins, and dairies, and getting them in the required needs, amounts that you need for your gender and your age. So ideal situation is to have a variety of all these foods, and having the variety and changing it up and the different colors gives you different nutrition, and it prevents us from becoming stale and having the same thing over and over again. So variety is the spice of life, just changing it up, but a wide variety of foods. So working on the energy in equation, the healthy habits around weight loss are choosing whole grains instead of plain refined whites. So the high fiber and the grain products, if you have like a grainy wholemeal bread versus a white bread, you'll actually get a little bit less energy going in the body because we don't absorb all the fiber. So the fiber stays on the outside of the body and we don't absorb the whole bit of bread. So there's a slight bit more energy in your white breads, but you've also got the fiber that stays in the stomach and it makes you feel full for a little bit longer and does wonderful things to the gut health. Utilizing healthy snacks is another way to work on the energy in equation. So instead of being at the mercy of whatever's available when you are hungry, having those really healthy snack options available, like maybe some nuts with some fruit, or cheese and crackers with a coffee, maybe peanut butter and celery or hummus and carrot sticks. Those sorts of healthy snacks are low in energy but very high in nutrition. And that will be a lot less kilojoules going in than, say, a chocolate bar or a donut on the run, which are the easiest places to get stuff. You might be at the mercy of whatever's available. Opting for low-fat dairy, so you do get less kilojoules in a low-fat milk rather than a full-fat milk. You get less of the saturated fat, which is the type of fat that goes in the body. That is not as good for health, and you get more of the protein and the calcium in the dairy products. Same thing with removing skin from chicken and visible fats on your meats. That's a saturated fat, which is not good for arteries and cholesterol. So if we remove the skin and we take the visible fat away, you get more of just protein plus the zinc and iron that we require, the minerals in that meat. Balanced meals. So as you can see on the screen there, you've got your balanced plate. Half of it can be fruit and or like vegetables and or fruit. Then you've got your portion where you pop your protein, 25% of it or quarter of the plate, and then your high fiber carbohydrate or portion on the last quarter. So those balanced meals and meeting the targets for your food groups in the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating. I'll move on to more specifically habits that are targeted by GLP-1 medications in the next slides. So adequate protein, so making sure that protein core is in most of your meals throughout the day. Your meals and snacks is really good. So protein options include your lean meats, chickens, eggs, plus your dairy foods have a good protein in them, nuts, nut paste and seeds. So if you're thinking about that protein core, if you're having some breakfast cereal and you've got your milk and your yogurt on there, that's your protein core. For lunch, you can have a salad, put on some legumes or some lean meat or fish. Eggs are good as well. And then like at night time, your nice lean piece of meat is likely where you'll put that, just to have that nice balanced meal and getting that protein in. And while you're on your GLP-1 medications, 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of your body weight is how much protein you should have. So for example, I've got a little calculation there. If you're 80 kilograms, 96 to 128 grams of protein is what you would require while on your GLP-1, and still keeping it up there to the 1.2 on your maintenance is really important. So reaching the goals is really important for hair growth and nail growth, repair of muscles and tissues such as your skin, and all your hormones and your enzymes are all made out of the proteins as well. So super important to get those. Hydration is important as well. Making sure that you've got adequate fluid is in all for all of these body fluids such as tears, saliva, sweat and urine, helping the brain work efficiently and the body move. It also helps to manage your temperature and the heat. So through sweating, you'll maintain your normal body temperature, and it helps support the digestion. So the enzymes, digestion, and then the transport of all that nutrition within the body and around the body into the cells and the tissues. So, and the other part of that is removing all the waste through the bowel and the urination as well. If you aren't getting enough water, you do find that you'll have a few signs, which is being thirsty too often, and if you're having enough, you won't get too thirsty, so staying on top of it, and you'll have a colourless or light urine. But if you are not drinking enough, you'll find that you might have some dark urine, some headaches and constipation. So just remembering that we are about 60% water, and we do need to rehydrate that.
Did you have anything to add there, Dr. Victoria? You must be on mute.
Yes, I was. So just going back to the protein, the amount of protein required.
Yes.
So when we're talking about this, we're not talking about how much the steak weighs. So that's something that people get wrong. So if you're looking at a 200-gram steak, you're not getting 200 grams of protein. For example, I was just looking up, so how much protein is in an egg, a boiled egg. So on average, a boiled egg is about 50 grams. That's not 50 grams of protein. So a boiled egg that weighs about 50 grams is actually about 6.3 grams of protein. So there are other things that are in that egg as well that are not protein. You do get some carbs and some fat and other things as well. But the actual protein content in the food that you're eating does not equate to the actual weight of the food. So when you want to calculate or just to see how much protein you're eating over the course of the day, you can use an app. There's so many apps, or even AI nowadays, ChatGPT, can tell you how much protein is in a 200-gram steak if you barbecue it. And you can get that figure. So it doesn't necessarily equate to how much that piece of meat or how much the beans weigh themselves.
Yes, very good point for adding that.
Thank you. That's a really good point. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anything on the hydration, Dr. Victoria?
I think the only thing that I can see that's missing on there is lubrication of your joints, which is really important if we're working out. And of course, on days that you work out more, drink more. So if you normally tend to have 2 liters of water over the course of the day, if you're going to take a walk, just have more water. And definitely with GLP-1s, because you're not feeling hungry or thirsty, you still have to make sure that you're taking enough, even if it means setting an alarm every half hour, every hour, to make sure that you're drinking water, because that's one of the things that can be missed so much, especially now in colder months. People tend to drink less, but your body is still working as much as it works. In the summer, maybe a little bit less, but you still need to hydrate. Yeah, so even if it means setting an alarm so that you're still managing to drink water whilst on the GLP-1.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So next.
Okay, so next slide is that water is always the best choice for hydration, and it's good as a reducing kilojoule habit to reduce intake of kilojoules if you replace the sugar sweetened beverages you're having with water. Staying well hydrated also increases the sensation of that fullness. So it helps in the reduction of calories if your body does get a little bit confused between being hungry and thirsty. If you're on top of your thirst, that will take that out of the equation. So a great guide to staying on top of your water is just having a drink with each of your meals. So each time you sit down to have your breakfast, lunch and dinner, pop a little glass on the side, and also having them between meals as well. As Dr. Victoria mentioned, definitely while you're exercising, have a little bit of a drink before, during and after, and on hot days as well. And then if you're feeling thirsty or you have any of the signs of dehydration, such as a dry mouth or dark urine. So ideal water intake is 2 to 3 litres and more if you're in hot weather or exercising. Focus on fibre. So fibre comes from our carbohydrate plant-based foods, and it's made up of the non-digestible parts of the plants. So as a result, it passes through the intestine. It makes you feel fuller, but it also helps feed the natural gut microbia as well, or the microbiota in there, and increases the feelings of fullness and satisfaction. So it's the volume that you'll get for very little kilojoules in plant-based veggies and fruits. And then a lot of your fibre will actually come from your whole grain foods as well. So I've got a little snippet there from the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating, and that's just dependent on your age and gender, how many serves you'll need. So across the board, we always need about 2 serves of your fruit. It's either 2 small pieces or a medium-sized piece, or a cup of diced pieces in natural juices. And across the veggie It's usually 5, but you can actually, that's a place where you can increase if you want to, particularly if you're maintaining weight. But your grain foods are somewhere where you can sort of cut down on a little bit if you want to losing the weight. But your daily fiber requirement is 30 grams for male and 28 for female. So reaching those targets of whole grain fruits and vegetables, whole grain foods, fruits and veggies is important on getting that fiber. So it will actually help you reduce a lot of the risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and protect against the bowel and breast cancers as well. Yeah. I'd pop this slide in just to give you like a bit of a look at what eating according to the guidelines is. This is a male's sample meal plan, which I think is kind of helpful just to show how to get the protein in and also all the other types of food groups on your maintenance diet. And then this would be the female's version of that with the whole grain cereal. Yeah, and you've got your snacks in there. You don't have to have them, but they're there if you want to. You can absorb them into your meals if you're hungrier at the meal times. But also, if you find you can't make it to the next meal, you know, those yogurts and fruits and nuts are really good snacks. So long-term and balance, it's all about having a bit of everything. So you've got, I love this picture just because it has a little bit of everything and just keeping in moderation. You just, the things that are really required are your adequate sleep, your balanced meals, the physical movement as part of health, fruit and vegetables, adequate hydration and managing those stress levels. They're the real keys to keeping your weight in balance. And then just having all those really nice well-being stuff. They enable your ability to get that out there camping and hiking and gardening, and they really just feed the mind and make life enjoyable. So just a healthy lifestyle. So flexibility for long-term maintenance. What were you going to say?
Did you have anything to add there, Dr. Victoria?
Mute again. So yes, I think adequate sleep is underrated when we're talking about weight management, weight loss. There are studies out there that show that people who get adequate sleep tend to lose more weight compared to people who sleep less over the same time period. So definitely making sure you're having adequate quality sleep as well. So sleep hygiene, that's one of the things that I love as well, just knowing when to shut down devices, having a good sleep routine, trying to go to bed around the same time every night. It works wonders for weight management. And I find it's really underrated because the link is not really there with some people. Like, how does sleeping help me lose weight? I think sleeping will actually make me gain more weight. But no, if you're having adequate quality sleep at night, that definitely helps with weight management. And also just with recovery, like your body's recovery, that's where most of it happens. If you've been exercising, walking, that's when your body tends to repair itself. And yeah, that's it. I just find that it's really underrated. So maximizing our sleep definitely helps. That's just, if that's one thing you can do to help boost your weight loss, try and work on that, especially if you know that you don't have really good sleep. If you maximize your sleep, that will definitely help as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Definitely. Love that. So flexibility for long-term maintenance. So the rule of keeping all things in balance and moderation, it's just freedom, isn't it? It's thinking that nothing is out of bounds, that the idea that you can have anything you like, it keeps you from thinking that you're deprived in any way. So I've got an old picture here of like a pyramid, which, you know, we use this circle now for the guidelines, but I just liked it, and it's not in proportion, but it's got the sweets at the top, and it's completely okay to have those included in a healthy diet. So if you go back, it's just about managing and balancing and just having the right nutrition underneath it all, and that on top. So if you go back to it's just a flexible thinking. But if you go back to your old ways, once you reach your goal, you will turn return to the way you were. You'll be the way you always were. So it's about pivoting on this maintenance and having that healthy lifestyle. You've taken the time on this GLP-1 medication, which is integral, particularly the beginning of it, just setting up those new habits that they're long-term and sustainable. So we really want to have things that you can continually repeat ongoing, just to fall back on, so that you know what the behaviors are. So 3 regular meals, the regular exercise, the sleeping, and the hydration. All of those habits are things you can do without thinking. So conditions will change. Your hunger cues will come back. The transition of your food through the stomach will be faster, and the food noise may return. So, but in terms of how the weight was lost, it wasn't only the medication, it was you. It really was. So I'll show you a little bit about me and the diet cycle. So this is a restriction mindset that you can get on what we call the diet cycle. So we have the desire to lose weight. We start dieting or restricting. We feel like there are things that we cannot have. We have a little bit of an increase without medications. We have a little bit of increase of hunger because the body wants to battle that weight loss and not having enough energy coming in. And we have these cravings for the food. So I was on a weight loss program prior to starting dietetics, and I can tell you this is the first time that I ever experienced binge eating, and it was because of the restriction and feeling like I couldn't have anything. So removing that restriction and feeling like you can have whatever you want in terms of the foods, they're not forbidden, they're always there, and if you don't want it right now, you can have it next time. There's no things that are out of bounds. So those feelings of deprivation and shame of having those foods will be reduced and let go of. So just a little bit about the diet cycle and feeling like you can. So build the real life strategy. As identify what your personal triggers are for non-hungry eating. So they could be stress, boredom, sadness. We can eat because we're excited, but recognizing the emotional eating is the first step, and then having the toolbox of strategies to deal with it. Maybe it's mindful eating, sitting down without distractions, using cutlery, creating the space, turning off all distractions, journaling thoughts and feelings if you're feeling excited or stressed, chatting with a friend on the phone, or even going for a walk, just mixing it up and creating that energy and changing it, dancing, whatever you want. But that strategy of toolboxes is what's going to help you just identify that. So extra tips to combat overeating is eat the high kilojoule, low nutrient foods after you've fully satisfied and not on an empty stomach. So dessert after dinner is something that is recommended. Never go shopping on an empty stomach. So if you go to the shops, make sure it's after a meal or you're comfortably satisfied, because if you go shopping and you're really hungry, you can tend to have some high energy snacks because your body's really smart and wants something that's really filling and high on energy in the shopping trolley. Same thing happens if you go thirsty. You'll come home with all sorts of drinks. So keep a list and making sure that you're nice and satisfied before you go. And then know your side effects with medications and stuff like that. So you can plan with health professionals and strategies to manage and overcome them.
Did you have anything to add there?
Yes.
Dr. Victoria?
No, not really. That's pretty good. Nothing there. Yeah.
Okay, and the last point is just, what is your why? Just that, coming back to that why is what started you on this weight loss journey in the beginning, and that will keep you going and your motivation as you go on to your maintenance. So the why could be a health concern came up, or there was pain or mobility issues. Maybe you wanted a longer life and you knew you wanted to reduce your risk of any health concerns and stuff. You've got this improved sleep, you've got improved energy levels and improved mental capacity. Keep those in mind as you take the new you on into maintenance, so to stay on track. So long-term weight maintenance, always seek professional advice before changing anything to do with your medication. So your journey is not coming to an end, it's just changing. You're pivoting, you're taking the new you and stepping out. Changes will occur with the medication though. Remember, when you first started the medication, you didn't start on the highest dose. It progressed. Your body needed to get used to it. It was slow and gradual. So therefore, the reverse conditions will need to happen in order to reduce the medication as well. So make a plan and come off of it slowly. So it's always good to spend some time at that new weight and give yourself a buffer as well for the fluctuation, and knowing that fluctuations are healthy and normal. The weight doesn't stay the same. Sometimes it's up or down, but just giving yourself a buffer will help you to get that maintenance started.
Dr. Victoria might have a little bit to add here.
100%. I was going to ask her.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And this is one of the most common questions as well. So what do I do now? I am at my goal weight. What happens next? And at the moment, there are 4 things that can be done. So the most evidence is on staying on the maximum dose lifelong. With this route, it's very hard to gain the weight back. Most people tend to regain the weight, and even a little bit more if they stop the GLP-1s, and if they stop abruptly. So you're on 15 milligrams of Mounjaro, for example, and you're at your goal weight. You feel like you've done it, and you stop taking your medications. 1 week you're on 15, the next week you've just stopped. All those cues tend to come back, and very quickly. And the studies have shown that the weight comes back. So the second option, other than staying on the maximum dose lifelong, the second option would be down titrating slowly to the lowest dose possible where you're able to maintain your weight. So if you're on a maximum dose, again, I'll use Mounjaro as an example, you're on 15 milligrams. We start down titrating, and we find that at 7.5 milligrams, your weight is still stable. You stay on that dose. Again, you stay on it lifelong. And this, together with the first option, we're finding that it helps to maintain the weight, that it's very difficult for the weight to come back. The third option would be increasing the intervals between your injections. So, for example, if you do your injection dose on a Saturday, instead of doing it the following Saturday, you do it the following week on the Wednesday. So that's about 10 days, 11 days apart. So just increasing the intervals between your injections is another way that the evidence is showing to help. And the fourth way would be to stop the Mounjaro. And how this is being done is like the second option. You down titrate slowly to the lowest dose possible that's still maintaining you at your goal weight. And you stay on this dose for about 6 months, and then you come off the Mounjaro. But we'll be checking the weight every 2 weeks, every 6 weeks, just to see how you're able to maintain your weight. So still working together with dietitians, still working with your personal trainer, exercise physiologist, still trying to maintain the lifestyle changes that you've made. And if we notice a 2 to 3 kilo weight gain, then there's the option to restart the Mounjaro. So for some people who want to try and come off the GLP-1s, that would be the option. But you would have to do it with close monitoring of your weight. And I would say there are some people whereby this option would not be preferred. So people who've had issues with weight loss, weight gain throughout their life, people who've been on multiple diets, people with multiple comorbidities who have high cholesterol, they're diabetic, they have high blood pressure, they've got osteoarthritis. For them, evidence shows that it's better to stay on the Mounjaro lifelong. Because weight gain would be much quicker for them, and it would mean that the comorbidities, because the comorbidities would get better, the blood sugar readings would get better, the blood pressure would get better with weight loss. But if you start gaining the weight again, it means that those other comorbidities would come back. So at the moment, those are the options. So we've got the evidence-based ones, which is staying on the maximum dose lifelong. But the most common practice at the moment is weaning down slowly to the lowest dose possible where your weight is being maintained. Then you either stay on that or you come off the Mounjaro, and we closely monitor. So it's that's one of the most common questions that we get, because I know people who want to stay on lifelong because they've had a tumultuous journey with losing weight, regaining it, and they've found something that works. They don't want to fix something that's not broken, so they'd rather stay on it lifelong. And people who really want to try and do it without relying on medication. And there is that option as well with support. And yeah, we're still waiting for more evidence to come out and more options. And I think now that we're getting, I think the capsule or the pill, GLP-1, that will help as well for other people. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
There are a couple of questions that's coming down. I don't know if you want to answer them now or wait till the end, just about the maximum dose and the minimum dose. Sorry.
Which one's that? Let me just go through the questions. Can you read out the question?
What is the maximum dose and the minimum dose, please?
Okay. So it depends on which GLP-1 we're talking about. For Wegovy, which is the Ozempic drug, the minimum dose for that is 0.25 milligrams, and the maximum for Wegovy is 2.4 milligrams. And the dosing for Wegovy is not as linear as Mounjaro. So from 0.25, you go to 0.5, and then from 0.5, you go to 1, from 1, you go to 1.7, and 1.7, you go to 2.4. Unlike Mounjaro, the lowest dose for Mounjaro is 2.5 milligrams, and you up-titrate by 2.5 milligrams. So from 2.5 to 5 to 7.5 to 10 to 12.5, and the maximum is 15. So it's more linear. And Wegovy, unlike Mounjaro, you can't really click count Wegovy. With Mounjaro, you can click count. For those who don't know what click counting is, your Mounjaro pen, when you're dialing up your dose, it's got the little lines on it. And when you're dialing it up, you can feel the little clicking as you're turning it. So each dose of a Mounjaro pen is 60 clicks. So whether you're on the 2.5 milligram pen or you're on the 15 milligram pen, each dose of that is 60 clicks. So for some people who are not tolerating 2.5 milligrams, you can actually halve that, which is very difficult to do with Wegovy. So with Mounjaro, you can even go down to 1.25, which means you're just doing 30 clicks on the pen instead of the full 60 clicks, which is a full dose. So the lowest dose on Mounjaro, technically it's 2.5 milligrams, but we've had to reduce it for some people because of tolerance.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Thank you so much for answering that one. I'll leave a couple more for later, but that was wonderful. All right, so once, I know there's a question about this, so once the goal weight is achieved and you've dropped down below your BMI of 27, the Apex administration and clinical team will take care of applying to DVA for your maintenance dosing on your behalf. So it's at DVA's discretion as to whether it is covered or not, but great news is that people consistently losing weight on the program that want to continue on the dose, on the medication, do get approved. Often do get approved. I'm sorry, I missed that. But it's worth highlighting that, like Dr. Victoria was saying, that the benefits of being on it long term are the tighter regulation of those blood sugars and cholesterol and all those wonderful things underneath the medication that you can't see. And they're going to stay nice and tightly controlled using that medication ongoing. So it's fantastic for ongoing success. Did I say that right, Dr. Victoria?
Yeah. Definitely.
Cool. Okay, so knowledge is power. So before you do make changes, just knowing what is going to happen is a really good and potent skill for you. If you do have the potential, once the food noise comes back, to tip into the previous behavior. So remembering that the obesogenic food environment that was there before you started GLP-1s is still there. So this essentially means that the outside world has not changed, but you have. So the TV advertising, the strategic product placement by companies wanting to make money by selling high energy, tasty, low nutrient snacks as you're going through the service station, or the pay checkout are still there. The family members still have their own eating habits, but you have changed. Okay, so GLP-1 medications are the synthetic version of your GLP-1 natural hormone, and it somewhat puts a blackout over the food noise, and it will come back. So remember, hunger in and of itself is not a bad thing, though. We need it for a whole variety of reasons. First and foremost, we need to eat to have the ability to do our daily activities, to repair and grow, to make our body hormones, maintain our muscle balance and thinking. All of these things require the energy of eating. So our appetite is naturally our body's signal to tell us it is time to eat. So if there is no hunger, we can go a long time without eating because there's no sign. Sometimes we get busy, involved in work, and we can skip meals very easily, but we do need to eat to stay alive. So I like the hunger scale to come back into use because it kind of gives you a guide of what the hunger is. And hunger is a natural hormone that will come every 3 to 4 hours. So we want to keep having that regular hormone come in and tell us when we're a little bit peckish. We kind of want to stay nice and in the green section of this hunger scale. So probably not getting as low as a 3, at a 4, starting to eat. And it's okay that you eat more times a day. The snacks are there to get you through to the next meal. So beginning to feel hungry, start to have your snack or food, and then when you're feeling satisfied, that's when you stop. So other sort of signals that are similar in the body are pain. If we hit our toe or we touch something hot, it's painful, so we're told not to do that. That's a signal by our body. Tiredness, if we're tired, we want to go to sleep to regenerate and have that wonderful sleep and all the benefits of it. So that's another signal that our body gives us, and thirst is another one. But hunger is a super important one, and not to be scared of, just to use it and harness it as the signal it's supposed to be. Our energy out equation, just a little bit on that, is our normal activities take up a lot of the necessary energy that we take in a day. If we didn't do anything at all, we still need to eat. To survive, we do a lot of, we do need the nutrition for the body, for healthy body functioning. So there is a basal metabolic rate that we must meet, and that is even on your GLP-1 medication. So there's about 20 to 30% of kilojoules in there that you can reduce to get your weight loss. So you've got that's going to come back to take that maintenance, but it's not straight up to the 30, it's just slowly increasing it if you can, just to get used to it. And the medication being gradual reduction helps with that as well. So there is an opportunity to increase the energy out, and that's with the physical activity and assisting our bodies with many other benefits of that physical activity, like mental clarity, helping fatigue our body so that we can sleep well, and, blood sugar, and lowering cholesterol, and lots of benefits to that exercise as well. So long-term success, remember, it's... Oh, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, did you have anything to add there, Dr. Victoria?
Yeah, just go back to the slide.
That one there?
So yeah, the basal metabolic rate.
Yes.
And just as a FYI, because it's different in men and women. So women have a lower basal metabolic rate. And other things tend to increase it or decrease it as well. So at times when you're unwell, when you're sick, your basal metabolic rate goes up because your body needs extra energy to fight infections and the like. But when you're feeling well, it goes down. So that tends to, affect your calories as well, and energy, your energy out equation. But yeah, it's different in men and women. Women have a lower one, men have a higher one. Yeah,
definitely. That's a good point. Thank you so much. The last little bit is just to remember that over time your habits will loosen up. So things in life do change, such as a new job. Maybe you were on the floor doing lots of energy, running around and getting things done, and then you get to a higher management role where you're sitting doing a lot of computer work and not doing as much running around. That's going to change how much energy you need to bring into the body. Moving house or country, maybe the outside is different. You're not doing as many walks as there's a busy road, or you've got more activity you need to do in the yard, so the energy will go up. You could change hobbies. Maybe you used to play recreational football, and as you get older you want to change and you're doing more gardening and things like that. That will change the energy that you need. And also retirement. So these things result in differences in your activity levels, and they change your shopping and eating habits, and also changes to your snack food. So just realizing that it's all human and it's all normal, but remember that it's a lifelong journey, and adjusting to circumstances is integral to keeping your weight nice and maintained as well. Yeah, and then from time to time, you may need to freshen up on those healthy lifestyle habits that you've been having. So am I eating whole, minimally processed foods? How is my hydration? Am I watching my sugar, high-fat foods? Have I started eating out more? Am I moving my body every day? Realign these small shifts if you can, and they do make a big difference. So final tips, the best healthy habits are the ones that fit nice and easily into your lifestyle, not the ones that are effective, get results, but are really demanding on your time, your body or your mind to continue. So it's really about starting small and building on the habits and making them nice and easy to stick to long term, because you want to have a long-term view of your health, and not something you're doing just to lose weight and then stop them. So the main areas of focus are your regular meals, your adequate amounts of nutrients, the key balance of nutrients, physical movement, good sleep, and managing your stress. But be kind and celebrate your achievements, because you definitely have got this. And that is it. So thank you so much. And for all your valuable additions to the slides there, Dr. Victoria, they were amazing.
Yeah, no problem.
And
I have one final tip as well. I think I was talking about this today in the clinic as well, with some of my clients. So people tend to focus a lot on the number on the scale, and because weight loss is not linear, it's not a graph, it doesn't go like that. Life happens. Sometimes you plateau, sometimes you lose weight quickly, and people are different. Some people lose weight easily, some people lose weight very slowly. So your journey is not someone else's journey, and be kind to yourself. And if you're finding that the number on the scale is not going down, but your dress size, pant size, belt size has gone down, your ring is getting loose, you've got more energy, you're sleeping better, those are all positives, and those just indicate what's happening inside and not the number on the scale. So don't focus so much. It is important, the number on the scale, but don't focus so much on it if you're finding that all the other things are saying that you're doing well, you're on the right trajectory. Yeah.
I love that. That is amazing. Thank you. That's perfect. I love that.
So one of our first questions here is, can Pilates be classified as allied health? And if so, how do I get approved for this?
I am not sure. I can find out about that, and it can be answered in the next webinar. But if I'm to just say off the top of my head, I don't think Pilates is considered an allied health activity, but it's worth an ask. You never know, it might be, but yeah, we'll definitely find out.
Okay. Just having a look at these questions here. Someone's asked whether or not we can clarify the latest reports regarding possible eye problems.
Eye problems related to GLP-1s?
Yes.
Okay, we can do that for the next webinar as well, because I haven't come across that yet. And I can ask the other doctors as well in our chat to see if they've encountered that.
Okay, and then we've got another question saying, do we always have to go up to the maximum dose? He's on 2.5 Mounjaro and is losing weight, and the side effects have disappeared or dissipated. Happy to stay on 2.5. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely. And you wouldn't be the only one who's on a low dose and doing well on it. So like I said, different people respond differently to the GLP-1s. You can be on 2.5 milligrams and you're still losing weight, your appetite is still controlled. And if you're ticking all the boxes, there's no need to go up to the next dose. So you can stay on 2.5. You don't need to reach the maximum dose. If you're doing well on 2.5, that's absolutely remarkable. So yes, if you were one of my clients, I would keep you on the 2.5 as long as possible, and then only go up to the next dose up if we find that now the weight has started to plateau or you're starting to get hungry. As long as you're not having side effects, we can go up. But if you're doing fine, there's no need to go up.
Okay. Bill also asked whether or not he needs to have a face-to-face once a year, and that he's in Sydney. So we are working on that. Apex is actually working on making sure there's clinics that are in each and every area. You may need to travel slightly, and I do believe DVA are helping with that, with the travel to those central locations in each of the states. But there will be more on that in the future. So that should be coming up very shortly, some of the information. So there is also questions around kidney issues.
Yes, I think Dr. Victoria said she had to leave. Are you okay?
I am okay to go on a little bit. Yeah, I can do another 5 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
One more question. Is there any kidney issues with the GLP-1s?
Not to my knowledge, no. But I think kidney issues would result from inadequate nutrition and inadequate hydration. That's one link that I can put together between those two. And we find that with the GLP-1s, if you're, I'll leave it at a baseline that it's mostly hydration and nutrition. If you're not adequately hydrating, you can get what's called an acute kidney injury, where your kidney is dehydrated, essentially. So, but I will check if there are any other studies out there that can link the actual GLP-1 medication itself to kidney problems.
Well, thank you both for being here today, Dr. Victoria and Kendra. It's been a really great one. I've seen on the chat that it's been very informative tonight. So I look forward to our next one.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on board. Yeah.
It was wonderful.
And thank you, everybody, for coming.
Yes, and stay warm.
If you have any other further questions, please email them to contact@apex.au, and we'll make sure that they get to the correct person to answer them for you.
All right, fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Have a
lovely night.
Have a lovely night, everyone.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye, Dr. Victoria.